Hi, this is BK Black Krishna for manfowars.com, where I'm promoting polite patriotism to help people stop being turned into rude, sketchy zombies, making more, and instead respect each other, look, walk, talk, and feel great, communicate well offline about what to learn online, and be proud nationalists against globalism. So feel free to check out and support the manfowars.com efforts as you'd like. There's a PayPal, donation, and direct deposit links below as well. But this video is about NBA basketball, and it's called Carmelo Anthony Made Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul Soft. That's Carmelo Anthony Made Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul Soft. And what I mean is Carmelo, so mellow that he made Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul soft. And Russell Westbrook, as you know, Oklahoma City Thunder point guard, legendary, fiery competitor, puts it all on the line. Good or bad, love him or hate him, makes questionable decisions at times, but still an amazing athlete and an amazing competitor and an amazing teammate by many estimations. And Chris Paul, legendary, fiery guy, always chatting, always leaves it all on the line, and he's known as also a really supremely competitive guy. So how did Carmelo Anthony make Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul soft? Well, I'm going to explain that to you. Tons of stuff out there about the NBA for people that love NBA junk food like I do. There's lots and lots to read, so I won't go through everything, but I'll give you, the theory behind this, which I actually got from an ESPN article, and I'll get into that. But the first thing is, Carmelo Anthony's been a great scorer for a while, but he's always been a bad defender. And he even got Jeff Bzdelik fired in his second season in Denver when he was the coaching of the Denver Nuggets after 28 games, because Jeff Bzdelik, he was the former, and he's now coming back to the Houston Rockets as their main defensive assistant coach, and the guy who's an architect of the great Houston Rockets defense last year in the 2018 season, now coming back for the 2018-2019 season. So he's a very defensive-minded coach. And when he clashed with his young star in the second season about his lack of defense, Jeff Bzdelik was fired. So Carmelo Anthony knew, excuse me, from his second year in the league that he didn't have to play defense, and he was such a star he could get a coach fired who wanted him to play defense. So problems defensively have plagued him throughout his career, and he's never really gotten that much better. So there's one clue. If you play basketball, like I play basketball myself, when it comes to street ball or the NBA, a ball hog that doesn't play defense is a team killer. If you show up to a park and you're playing with a bunch of guys and you say, I got next, and you join a team and you're on that team of, 5 guys or whatever, if you have a ball hog on your team, that's bad enough. If you have a ball hog on your team that doesn't play defense, it just saps your energy. You stop running up the floor for offense because he's a ball hog. You stop running back for defense because he's not going to play any and they're probably going to score on him, so it's just, it kills your energy, right? And another point is Melo has always been mellow. Vice Sports, for the part of the Vice magazine family, they even have a Stay Mellow feature. So he's always like being a mellow guy. He's mellow. He's cool. He's always chilled out. He's always mellow. He's not fiery competitor taking losses really hard and so on. He had one good year in New York where they won 54 games and he won the scoring title, and they advanced a little bit in the playoffs. But other than that, almost no success in New York City. He had a $125 million contract, but he was never agitating to try and win more. He was never agitating to try and we need to do better. He was just content being mellow, being a mellow guy, being seen as a star, and getting by on the fact that he was considered a star as opposed to improving a lot of areas of his game. So he's never been that competitive. And at various points, LeBron James in Cleveland, possibly D. Wade, possibly CP3, had a chance to bring, one of their best friends, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, and Carmelo are seen as 4 best friends in the NBA. And when Carmelo's 3 other best friends had chances to play with him, they didn't really push for that. They didn't really agitate for that. Even to this day, with Carmelo, possibly, he could have gone anywhere. LeBron, who's probably his best friend because they met when they were rookies and they really hit it off. LeBron doesn't want to play with Carmelo because he knows Melo good guy to hang out with, good guy to drink wine with. But do you really want him on your basketball team when things get tense and you got to start yelling at each other and demanding a higher level of effort? Probably not. Not that dedicated to conditioning, not dedicated to defense, and in some ways a team killer, with that type of archetype. So good guy, probably in many ways, but if you're going to play like that, I don't mind going out for drinks with a guy who's a ball hog who doesn't play defense. But if I'm actually on the court with a ball hog who doesn't play defense, it's going to sap my energy and the rest of our team's energy because he's a ball hog on one end and he doesn't play defense on the other end. So there's a little bit about Melo, and now I'm going to get to this article from ESPN that kind of clarifies this. This is an article here by Tim McMahon and Royce Young from November 8th, 2018. So this is a few days ago. It's currently November 12th, 2018. So this is after reports have come out that Carmelo Anthony it might be released by the Houston Rockets because he's causing chemistry problems on the Houston Rockets. But this was 4 days before then, November 8th, 2018. And it says here from ESPN.com, can Houston unlock Olympic Melo after OKC's failed experiment? And there's the byline, Tim McMahon and Royce Young. And I'll put a link to this below, and it's very, very long. It's a very long article that really goes into a lot of Carmelo Anthony's career and some of the good and bad points that have happened. But if you scroll down this article, there is a section here where, and again, it's a very long article, but there's a section here that says, will the chemistry experiment work in Houston? Right? So this is the part you're looking for. There's a shot of Melo and Chris Paul. And so I'll read a little bit of this article here. And so Royce Young says, you mentioned Melo's humbling experience in OKC, where he showed up trying to be a star, didn't perform that well, realized maybe he shouldn't just act like a star anymore because he doesn't have those skills anymore. You mentioned Melo's humbling experience in OKC, and that's what gives me optimism this could eventually work out for Houston. Keep in mind, this is November 8th. I'm currently recording this on November 12th, where word's gotten out the Rockets no longer want Melo, and this can trace why. It says here, it's a low-risk move with Melo on a minimum deal, and there is no trade approval albatross in the way of moving him if the Rockets need to. He went from declaring not once, but twice, that he would not be coming off the bench to coming off the bench with the Rockets. It's a process for Melo to accept his role, and that began with a challenging year in OKC. He wasn't used to going minutes without taking a shot or even a touch, and had trouble being ready to shoot when the ball did find him for an open three. He never looked entirely comfortable or confident. Now, this is where I say it gets to the point where Carmelo Anthony made Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul soft, two legendary competitors in the NBA, suddenly getting soft because Melo is around. It says here, and this is not being reported and repeated much. If you look at some of the NBA news about this, they don't reference this that much. But this is something that's in this ESPN article. So I thought for fans of the NBA that are trying to put the pieces together when it comes to the Carmelo Anthony situation, this is a really interesting point. He says here, one other aspect to this is chemistry and team dynamic. In OKC, there was internal talk about how Melo impacted the locker room. To be clear, he was remarkably professional all season long, and at no point was there any locker room strife. So he's a professional, but professional what? Professional slack ass? Not going to rock the boat. This is just who I am, right? And it says here, but Melo's general vibe and personality influenced OKC, particularly Westbrook. The Thunder had a confident, we'll be all right, air about them all season, and that was projected most from Melo. And while he and Westbrook got along extremely well, that kind of atmosphere had a negative impact on Westbrook, who needs to be on edge at all times to succeed on court. You see how Carmelo Anthony made Russell Westbrook soft? And it says here, Westbrook has joked before that the reason he doesn't play it cool in the All-Star game is because he's not good enough to take it easy. He has to play one way, and that mentality sets the tone for the entire organization. The Thunder lost some of that identity with Melo. Their primary struggle was consistency, especially against less than good teams, and that often manifested by thinking that they could just kind of show up and win. Westbrook-led teams have never operated like that. But on the flip side, there's been a lot of talk about Melo's relationship with Paul and how their friendship could positively impact the situation. While it would be different between him and Harden than it was with Westbrook and George. And then Tim McMahon says, for better or worse, CP3 has never shied away from getting in a teammate's face. He called out the Rockets as a whole in a timeout during the second quarter in Brooklyn on Friday night when Houston was sleepwalking through another horrible defensive effort, and the Rockets responded with their first really good defensive half of the season. PJ Tucker is cut from the same cloth. Quote, if you think you're going to come here and not play defense, Tuck's got another thing for you, Paul said on Media Day. So that's an example. And yet, when Carmelo was there, just like in Oklahoma City, they played down to their competition, didn't play that hard, carried themselves with I'm an heir of a star. I'm a ball hog that doesn't have to play defense. Yeah, we'll be all right, no matter what. We'll be all right. He said that for years in New York. Bad dysfunctional franchise, bad owner. There was a number of problems there that aren't all Carmelo's fault. But he, as a star player, didn't exactly do a hell of a lot to try and push for the winning culture there. He just wanted to push to be a star and treated like one. Caring about winning was not his priority. Getting really worked up and racked up over it was not his priority. The fact that he didn't have to win and he was still considered a star because he's a good guy. He's got a lot of NBA cachet. He's got some powerful friends in the NBA, so he's going to be treated generally well. But that's not the type of hyper-competitive guy like Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul are when it comes to we need to get this done. Winning or losing really destroys me. I don't mind winning. I like it. But I hate losing. It kills me. Carmelo's just not that guy, right? So anyway, that's why this video is called Carmelo Anthony Made Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul Soft, because in Oklahoma City, you could see the whole team was kind of more slack-ass. He's going, we'll be all right. Don't worry about it. We'll be all right. Nothing bothers us. As opposed to, no, this is killing me. Our team is all pissed off about this, and we are going to work our asses off on offense and defense to try and pick this up, right? That's normally what you would do. But Melo's like, nope, stay mellow. Just be cool. It's all good, right? Hey, it's fun being Carmelo Anthony. It's all good, right? And then when it comes to Houston, same thing. The whole team had kind of a lackadaisical air. Yeah, we made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, and we were a Chris Paul hamstring injury away from possibly defeating Golden State and going to the finals and beating the LeBron James-led Cleveland Cavaliers and winning a championship. So we'll be all right. We can kind of slack-ass our way through the season. We don't have to be as hungry and as driven and as tight with what we're doing as we were last year. We'll just be mellow. We'll be all good. And yet, ultimately, when you have that attitude, you don't push to win, especially when there are many other teams in the NBA, many other players pushing way harder than you. So I'll put a link to this article below, but I thought it was an interesting little factoid that's not being repeated much by the media, and that is this little fact about how Melo impacted the locker room and Russell Westbrook's intensity in Oklahoma, and how Carmelo Anthony has impacted the Houston Rockets locker room and Chris Paul's intensity and the intensity of that team, that hard driving, hard charging, gotta win it all, gonna get old, gonna be out of the league soon, need a championship on my resume, and we can't settle for anything less. That type of hard driving attitude doesn't gel with the way Carmelo Anthony typically operates. So anyway, so Carmelo Anthony basically made Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul and the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets soft. And I can go on about Melo. Many other people are, and no need to do that right now. We'll just leave it here. And I'll put a link to this article below. But otherwise, BK Black Krishna for manforwars.com. Feel free to subscribe, comment, support, PayPal, direct deposit links below. Otherwise, I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.